The New York Giants have had one of the more disappointing seasons in their franchise, as we had high expectations of possibly moving forward with this young team that we have and try to find some type of hope for the years to come, but to no avail. The Giants won less games than we won the previous year, going 4-12 to last year's 5-11. But there were some high notes. There were some things to take into next year and some players to take into next year, including some breakout players this year for the New York Giants. This is top 10 Giants of the 2019 NFL season. Now, before we start, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button below if you guys are enjoying the content. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What kind of other videos you guys want to see. Hit that subscribe button, and let's get started. I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions to start off, and we'll go right on ahead to Cody Core. Nobody talks about Cody Core, but he was one of the key players on the Giants special teams this year. He was one of the guys that were always there pinning the team inside the one. Yes, Riley Dixon did a lot of it, but he was there to prevent the touchback. He was there to tackle the ball carriers, constantly there. Cody Core was one of the best special teams gunners in the NFL. Next up, Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard would definitely make this list had he played more games, had he been productive in more games, but he's still one of my favorite players. He just hasn't played in enough games. Next up is Lorenzo Carter. Lorenzo Carter really didn't shape up to what we wanted him to be, but you could argue he was the second best pass rusher on the team. He had some key moments, like having that strip sack against Tom Brady in Week 6 in that primetime game. Had 4.5 sacks, about the same exact sacks in his rookie year, so hasn't really produced more than that, but he's still an honorable mention. Last but not least, for the honorable mentions, we have Ryan Connolly. Ryan Connolly has shined in his limited time. He got hurt in Week 3, and I believe he was out for the count there. He never came out either Week 3 or Week 4, and he hasn't played since then. But in those 3 or 4 games, he has been playing lights out in coverage and as well as run stopping. He was more of a run stopping inside linebacker. I was kind of questioning if he should be in a 3-4 because of his inability to cover, in college tape, but he did exceptionally well in coverage last year in his rookie year, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do moving forward, but he can't be on his list because he just hasn't had the playing time. But let's start this thing off. Number 10, Golden Tate, wide receiver, 49 receptions, 676 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, Golden Tate wasn't the star receiver this year for the Giants, and he's a veteran receiver. He's getting up there in age. You guys can argue why the heck did Dave Gettleman sign Golden Tate, and you can see why, honestly. He had a decent amount of touchdowns in his limited time of play, 6 touchdowns, and had a couple of games where he had double touchdowns, and took most of the Giants' highlights had to do with Golden Tate. You look at the Patriots, he scored the first receiving touchdown against the Patriots. The Patriots haven't allowed any since then. Made that juggling catch and ran into the end zone. He's one of the better run after catch receivers in the league. He showed that this year. Still does not like to go down. He took a lot of screen passes to the house. It's something the Giants really struggled at, and he was able to succeed in doing that. And so he winds up with the 10th spot. Number 9, Riley Dixon, 69 punts, 29 inside the 20, and a 42.3 net average. Listen, Riley Dixon, this is why this guy's going to the Pro Bowl. Well, we'll see if he goes to the Pro Bowl, but he is there as the backup or whatever. He's there waiting on. He's a alternate. That's what they call him, alternates. But he is an alternate, and Riley Dixon had an exceptional year at punter. This is why he was one of the only Giants re-signed so far this year in the offseason. As I'm recording this, Riley Dixon had a fantastic year. Almost every single punt that he landed was getting inside the 20, and it was inch towards the 10-yard line, the 5-yard line. Sometimes the gunners didn't even need to be there because the ball stopped right where it needed to be, right at the 1. I don't have the stat of the exact punts that landed inside the 1, but I want to say around 10 of them of those 29 punts in the 20-yard line were inside the 10, if not at the 1. So that being said, Riley Dixon definitely deserves a spot on this list. Number 9 for number 9. Next up, Kevin Zeitler, right guard, 1 penalty and 3 sacks. Now, there's not a lot of stats to talk about when we talk about an offensive lineman. There's nothing to really go after except with what you see on the field, what you see when you're watching the game. Kevin Zeitler was consistent, to say the least, last year. Yes, there were some times where he obviously gave up 3 sacks. There were some times where he wasn't able to hold some players. He allowed hurries, things like that. But he was definitely, bar none, was the best offensive lineman on the field last year, and really is a stepping stone for the New York Giants moving forward. We've got Kevin Zeitler, Will Hernandez to develop. Well, Will Hernandez is developing, but Kevin Zeitler is there. He's one of the best guards in the league, and he had one of the better Pro Football Focus ratings. I'm not big on Pro Football Focus, but if they like him, then that says something, because they really don't like the Giants. So, that being said, Kevin Zeitler makes number 8 on this list. Number 7, rookie Dexter Lawrence. 38 total tackles, 24 solo, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 3 tackles for loss, and 9 quarterback hits. Now, the rookie out of Clemson was said to be with the most untalented Clemson rookie on that defensive line. You had a bunch of guys on that defensive line go in the first round. You got Cleveland Farrell, Christian Wilkins, and now you have Dexter Lawrence. A lot of people weren't excited about this, including myself. A nose tackle. He's just a nose tackle, right? This guy in the beginning of the year went off, had 2.5 sacks. He looked great. He was constantly a force in the rushing game and the passing game. He was always there. Him and Dalvin Tomlinson make a excellent duo. And Dexter Lawrence definitely deserves a spot on this list. He would be a lot higher, I'll tell you that much. He would be a lot higher had he stayed consistent throughout the year. He started off hot, and he had 2.5 sacks about through mid-season. I'm like, oh man, this Dexter Lawrence guy is going to finish with 5 or 6 sacks. He stopped at 2.5 sacks, didn't really do anything after that. Also had a forced fumble, had a couple of quarterback hits. These are things that we don't see from nose tackles. They're really there just to stuff the run. Did a lot in the passing game, so great job for Dexter Lawrence. Congratulations, buddy. And yeah, you made 7th on this list. Next up, we have Dexter Lawrence's partner, and that's Dalvin Tomlinson, the former Alabama alum. 49 tackles, 23 of them solo, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 7 tackles for loss, and 9 quarterback hits. You could argue that this is Dalvin Tomlinson's best year of his career. When I'm talking about he was everywhere, he was involved in every single run play, I mean it. Whether he got, marked for the tackle or not, he was definitely a key component in stuffing the run. He is underlooked, and nobody really talks about him. This is why the Giants were so comfortable with letting go of Damon Harrison. They knew Dalvin Tomlinson could go from the 3 technique and play that natural position of what he should be playing in the 0, playing that nose tackle, and he has been doing an excellent job at that. I do not have a problem with Dalvin Tomlinson on that defensive line whatsoever. He may be our most talented and probably our best defensive lineman right now. Number 5, Jabril Peppers, 76 tackles, 51 solo, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 5 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, 5 passes defensed, and 3 forced fumbles. Jabril Peppers? What did he do? What did he do last year? What do we need him for? That's exactly what I said when we traded for Jabril Peppers in that Odell Beckham trade. If you guys remember that, I was live. Odell Beckham was traded, and I was like, we got who? We got Jabril Peppers, the Swiss Army knife, the first-round punt returner from Michigan. We got him. And I'll tell you right now, Jabril Peppers proved me wrong. Jabril Peppers was honestly my favorite defensive player so far this season before he got hurt and he wasn't able to play anymore. Jabril Peppers, I was just so excited to see what he was going to do. He was everywhere on the field. When the middle linebacker position was running thin, we had guys like Tay Davis go down early, Ryan Connolly go down early, Alec Ogletree was hurt too. We had David Mayo and a couple other inside linebackers out there that no one even heard of. We signed Deion Buchanan, but who was there playing inside linebacker? As I predicted, Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers even came down and played inside linebacker in sub packages. Jabril Pepper can be put on anywhere on the field. They use him as a safety edge rusher. They used him in the slot. They used him on the outside for a couple times, guarding the running backs and tight ends. They used them in coverage. Although he did not play well in coverage, and that's something that I have noted. His game, week 1 against the Cowboys, week 2 against the Buffalo Bills, he was all over the place. But he got in his groove, and he was one of the best Giants defenders on the field every Sunday. Number 4, Marcus Golden, 72 tackles, 35 solo, 10 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 27 quarterback hits, and 13 tackles for loss. Marcus Golden made history this season, being the first linebacker since Lawrence Taylor to gather 10 sacks in a season. Although that stat is kind of skewed, being that the Giants have not played in the 3-4 ever since Lawrence Taylor, it's still a great accomplishment to have. We didn't think anything of Marcus Golden when we signed him. I thought Lorenzo Carter would be the leading sack artist there, but it was Marcus Golden getting 10 sacks, revitalizing his career after having a down year before his sophomore year, where he's really shining at 12.5 sacks, but he really didn't have a great season after that. But congratulations to Marcus Golden, setting a record in Giants history. But it is a little skewed, like I said, because the Giants have been running 4-3, and linebackers don't really blitz and get those sacks in the 4-3. So 3-4, obviously, you're going to get a linebacker because they are their primary edge rushers and whatever. But congrats. Marcus Golden, and I did a film review for the Buccaneers game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 3. I did a film review on that, and we focused a lot on Marcus Golden, and Marcus Golden could have easily had 4 or 5 sacks in that game. He was constantly forcing pressure. He was constantly knowing when to stunt inside and get the quarterback out the pocket, and he was helping other guys like Lorenzo Carter, the rookie O'Shane Ximines, get his sacks as well. I believe O'Shane Ximines finished with about 4.5 sacks himself. A lot of it was because of the pressure of Marcus Golden, and O'Shane Ximines was there to clean up the sacks and get to the quarterback. Marcus Golden was the one forcing the pressure. 27 quarterback hits is nothing to just sniffle at, and also he had 13 tackles for loss. Yes, he's not great against the run. He's pretty much a one-trick pony, but he's good at what he does. He's good at what he does, and he's good at rushing the quarterback. So, congrats to Marcus Golden. You made 4 on this list. Number 3, Saquon Barkley. 217 attempts, 1,003 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4.6 average, 52 receptions, 438 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Saquon Barkley has one of the most underrated 1,000-yard seasons I've ever seen. What he had to come back from is insane. You look at week 1 and week 2, Saquon Barkley had back-to-back 100-yard games, and it was just easy. Saquon Barkley didn't have more than 15 carries in those 2 games, respectively. In each game, he had about 10 or 11 carries in each game and still racked up over 100 yards, and they stopped using him in the second half. Saquon Barkley was an absolute animal in those 2 games. But we go into week 3, and Saquon Barkley gets hurt. He leaves the game. Granted, he didn't have much yards in that game as it was, because Tampa had a phenomenal rush defense this year, and Saquon Barkley wasn't able to get much. But on one catch, Saquon Barkley hurts his ankle, leaves the game, and doesn't come back until, I believe, against Detroit in week 9. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was week 9 in Detroit, and he had about 14 carries for 28 yards. He looked hurt. He looked damaged. He just didn't look the same. And so it hurt his average a bunch. It hurt his yards a bunch because he missed so many games. And then you go to week 10 against the New York Jets, in which he had, I believe, 14 carries or 13 carries for 1 yard. Again, hurting his yards per average and hurting his total yards on the season. Everybody was thinking, man, he's not going to reach 1,000 yards this season if he keeps playing like this. What's going on with Saquon Barkley? He still looks hurt. The offensive line isn't blocking for him. Nothing is going right in the running game for the Giants. And then something clicked late in the season, and Saquon Barkley completely demolished and got his way back to 1,000 yards in week 17, having his career game in week 17 against the Washington Redskins, and got himself to a 100-yard season. Week 16 against the Washington Redskins. I'm sorry about that. Week 17, we played the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 2, Darius Slayton. 48 receptions, 740 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Darius Slayton quickly became a household name for Giants fans, but not only Giants fans. Darius Slayton is starting to make his name out there in the NFL world. The 5th round pick out of Auburn, who caught about 50% of his passes. You look at Auburn tape, it's just not good. He's just known as a speedster. This is one of the guys that really picked up their game. If you want to talk about someone that completely made a 180 in their play style, in their technique, in the way they are as a player, how they play the game, Darius Slayton is the one to look to. Darius Slayton was a 5th round prospect. He was drafted in the 5th round. He was just known for his speed. He had no hands whatsoever, did not route run as well. And you go into the NFL, he route runs okay. He still runs fast, and he can catch the ball. He made a bunch of tough catches, had multiple games with over 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns and over. The guy just tore up the season, had an amazing average as well, 740 yards on 40 receptions. The guy was fantastic. He was the deep ball master. He was like a Deshaun Jackson or a Tyreek Hill or a Ted Ginn of any other team, of those respective teams. He is that for the Giants. He is the guy to go up and get it and burn the defense on the outside. Not only that, he was up there. He reached the top 10. I believe he may have been even top 5 in receiving touchdowns this season. 8 touchdowns to, I believe the NFL high was 11 touchdowns set by Kenny Golladay, if I'm not mistaken. So he was 3 touchdowns off from the league high, and that was in his rookie year. A 5th round pick. So let's keep that in mind. This is why he makes number 2 on my list. And now, number 1, Daniel Jones. Rookie out of Duke, 3,027 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 61.9 completion percentage, 45 attempts, 279 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Say what you want about Daniel Jones. I know he hasn't had the most stellar season. He may be quite a bit overrated with how a lot of people are talking about Daniel Jones. If you watch the film, he made a lot of rookie mistakes, but what he put up, and I know I'm not a big stat guy, but you look at 24 touchdowns, you look at half of that, he had a 2.0 touchdown to interception ratio, which is great for a rookie quarterback. 3,027 yards in limited play, only played 12 games, and he had 24 touchdowns. He was 3 touchdowns away from setting the NFL rookie record for passing touchdowns, set by Baker Mayfield last year with 27. He could have had over that had he played the 16 games, and he would have set the record. Now I get it, he also had a high percentage of drop interceptions, but if you look at all the other quarterbacks in the league, and you guys just have to understand something, not everybody thinks a quarterback's supposed to have a fairy tale season even if you draft him high. That is not the case whatsoever, and I know a lot of people are tired of me bringing up these type of situations. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, a lot of these other quarterbacks drafted high that wound up working out in the long run. Alex Smith, it takes a while before they hit their stride. You look at players like Patrick Mahomes, you look at other players that started off hot like Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. These are fairy tale stories. They're outliers. I know everybody wants their quarterback to be that productive that early on in their career, but with the quarterback position, it just doesn't work out that way. Daniel Jones is off to a better than average start in the NFL as an NFL quarterback, and is looking to be on his way as a Pro Bowl quarterback, if not a playoff quarterback, to a Super Bowl quarterback. He has that kind of potential. I'm putting him at number 1 because not only did he have the stats to prove it, he had everybody else to prove wrong as well. Me, for example, I'm his biggest cheerleader right now, but yet I was his biggest critic when we drafted him. I was, even in the practices, I was all over Daniel Jones. I went back in his combine, was all over on Daniel Jones. I mean, I was critiquing him, and he continued to prove me wrong, and I have to give respect to, where it's due. Daniel Jones had the NFL media, the New York media after him, and completely just... Not every quarterback could handle what Daniel Jones had to endure. This is not just him playing football. This is him having to zone out everybody. Talk about the Beats commercials, where you hear what you want, you put those headphones in. That's what he did. He just, didn't listen to anybody. He shrugged it off. That is hard for an NFL quarterback to do, to always constantly be thinking about, what are they going to think of me after this throw? What are they going to think of me after this game? We lost this game because of me. What are they going to think of me after that? That's something Eli Manning and not a lot of quarterbacks have, but Eli Manning had it. And you can see Daniel Jones has it as well. What he was able to do under the scrutiny and criticism he was under from when he was drafted, to do what he did and be that gunslinger that he is, not afraid of what anybody's going to say. That's why he deserves number 1 on this list. He's looking forward to being, a great quarterback for the Giants. Definitely a franchise quarterback for the Giants moving forward. And that's all I got for you guys today. Who did I leave off this list? Who should I take off this list? And do you guys think my order should be mixed up in a different way? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Put your own list in the comment section below. We're all family here. Nothing to be ashamed of. Put your own list there, man. If you want to critique mine, you put your own list in there, alright? So, that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. Let's go Giants, baby.